So in my last video, I shared a little bit about what I discovered during my 3 years of recovering from ME and chronic fatigue syndrome. And I said that I would share with you why I chose to leave the 12-year relationship that I was in order to pursue a new version of myself. And for some people, there may not be a necessity to leave a relationship in order to carry out that piece of work. But for me, it was very important for me to find my own way without the support of another person, as in a relationship. And so in 2012, I got divorced. And I lived on my own. I had to work back in full-time employment, and I went back to working in an office. Again, same as before, not ideal, but this time I knew that this was a temporary measure. I knew that I had to work in full-time employment in an office environment because it was the beginning of a new journey for me. I knew that it wasn't going to be everything. So in 2012, I moved into my own flat and I started a different kind of life. I wanted to be out there exploring on my own. And that wasn't just exploring spiritually. I did join a spiritual church and I did really immerse myself in connecting with my guides, working on manifesting. I continued with psychotherapy. I continued to learn a lot more about meditation. And I basically spent the next 4 years being free to do whatever I wanted to do. I did a number of jobs during that time. I also got involved in another relationship, which again wasn't long term. And then I guess in 2016, I met my now husband after actually going through a dark night of the soul. In 2015, I suffered with a very deep bout of depression, during which time I considered finishing my life. And again, that was part of my spiritual awakening. Again, that was an opportunity for me to get to the depths, get into the dark, in order for me to come back out and rebirth myself, which is basically what I did in 2016. I rebirthed, I found my now husband, and I also started working for a charity which was then to be part of my life for 6 years. I started working for a Brighton charity called 𝔹𝔸ℂ𝕂, a charity that supports adults with learning disabilities. And this was a pivotal moment in me moving forward with a new version of myself. Working within care helped me to be in an environment where I was opening my heart to people who were vulnerable. And I'd never worked in this kind of environment before, and it was beautiful and eye-opening. And again, an enormous part of my journey. I found my tribe. I started to work within a space that was very different to anything that I'd ever experienced before. And working within this new environment also gave me an opportunity to find myself in a new way. So with a new relationship, a new support, a new rock in my life, and a new way of learning about human beings, I then discovered QHHT. So QHHT came to me in 2018 through an experience which again the universe offered me, where I had to come to terms with a phobia which I'd had all of my life. I had through all of my life a phobia of doctors and hospitals. Not particularly doctors and hospitals, but actually the phobia was about me having my skin cut and how that happens in doctor surgeries or in hospitals. And in particular, my phobia was around metal objects which can cut your skin. I know, right? Very strange. And saying this out loud is even stranger. But this phobia was what led me to QHHT and having to delve into my past lives. So I cut my finger very badly in 2018, which required medical intervention. I'm not going to go into this in great detail. All you need to understand is that me having to go to A&E to have my finger basically cut, sewn back on, was very traumatic. And to cut a long story short, I couldn't get the medical help that I needed. I was sent home without having my finger sewn back on, and I was left having to heal naturally. So I had to take time off of work, and during this period I sat and I felt very sorry for myself. I had my hand bandaged up and it was painful, and I needed to ask myself what the hell was going on. Why did I have a phobia of hospitals? Why had I always struggled to get medical help? And what was offered to me through my guides was that it was a past life issue. That this phobia of having my skin cut was emotional connection, residue, energy from a past life. And I was like, what the hell? I'd read about past life regression, but it had been never something that I really was interested in finding out about. It fascinated me, but I didn't really understand what it meant. And so when I was given this idea by my guides that I needed to research past life regression, I just did it. And I actually ended up finding videos on YouTube of 𝔹𝕂𝕂 talking about past life regression and how past lives can have an effect on us, how our past lives can be affecting how we feel in our life today. And I found this utterly, fascinating. And that was my introduction into QHHT. So I'm going to share with you in my next video what that meant to me, what finding QHHT and what having a QHHT session, how it impacted me, what that meant to me, and how that put me onto a completely new path, the path that I'm on now. How going back and experiencing past lives gave me the answers to lots of struggles that I had been going through. The struggle of ME and chronic fatigue syndrome, the struggle of an obsessive compulsive disorder, which I'd always experienced around dirt, and then the phobia that I had around doctors, surgeries and hospitals and having my skin cut. So that is a whole new video in itself. I am going to share my experiences with you in the next video, and I hope that you're finding these interesting and useful. Sending lots of love.